pilots have a different kind of attitude. Just they're fun. Well, I am very, very excited about having Tom Vendetti back in the studio. Tom's just come from having a fabulous interview that was shown twice on PBS with Leslie Wilkins on Long Story Short. And I've known you for 30 years, just about 25 years maybe. And there were things I found out I didn't know about you in that interview.
Yeah, that was very, first, anxiety-provoking going on the show, but it resulted in something really nice, I think.
It was. And you said that was like a 2-hour interview. She edited down to that.
Right. The actual interview went for 2 hours, and then they edited it down to half an hour.
Pretty good editing, huh?
Very good editing. And I love the B-roll, too, to get my mug off the TV.
Yes, it is. The B-rolls, well, we all know how important B-roll is to being a filmmaker, right?
Right.
But you've been so amazingly supportive of a couple of projects. We're going to be talking in just a couple minutes to the man in charge of the soundtrack for the movie One Little Finger and ability and disability, and we'll be going over that. But before we get into that, I just want to throw out there, we were just talking about planning a CD release party for Himalayan Sessions and the Gift of Hope, which we're going to be officially doing September 7th, which is a Saturday at the beautiful Makawal Union Church.
Yes, we're quite excited about that. This CD, the Himalayan Sessions, for example, is recordings that were made in Nepal, Tibet, and also Bhutan with Christopher Hedge and Paul Horn. And it was done with, and Caleb Beamer, I can't forget him.
No.
And done with local musicians, too, in the region, which makes it very special.
Oh, it's interesting how having those beautiful memories captured amplify what you experience to everyone who's listening it. And with the beautiful work of Christopher Hedge, you're able to tie together not only Christopher Hedge, but Paul Horn, Caleb Beamer, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And it's a I have to say, I love it, and you can go to HimalayanSessions.com. But that and my CD, The Gift of Hope. I've never done a CD release party. You're a party man. Tom throws great parties. But this one will be an actual party on September 7th.
My parties aren't usually at a church, though.
No, we're just kind of going over the details together, and this one's kind of interesting, but it seems so perfect, and you'll be showing the Dalai Lama film you did.
Right, and again, it's a lot of this material is very spiritual in nature, so it really does fit well with the Makawal Union Church.
Absolutely, and I don't know if you knew this, but Rupam Sarmah, who's put this film together we're going to be talking about, did you know he was from the areas where you went? He was actually, his family is from those areas. Did you know that? No,
I didn't. I knew that he was from India, but I didn't know exactly.
The exactly areas where you did the filming and stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, what's the chances of that, you know?
Right.
And he's coming out in October, and we'll be able to have him on. And we're very excited because his film is premiering, and he's been working so hard. You know, as a filmmaker, you know, before you do he's doing the world premiere August 15th, right? And it's going to be in Santa Monica, and we're going to do it here later, of course, in October. But it's been very well received. He's done screenings in Cannes and in Florida and gosh, in Italy and London and all around. And, you know as a filmmaker what it takes. There's a lot of hard work that goes into all the details of making a film.
Right, and to get something accepted in the Cannes Film Festival is quite an honor, too. That speaks of the quality of this film, so that's not easy.
Well, and the other thing is there's a synchronicity in the fact that, you are very involved in helping with disabilities. And I think that's Kevin. Aloha. Is that Kevin?
Aloha, Cindy.
Oh, it's so good to hear your voice again, Kevin. How are you?
Same here. Doing great. How are you?
Good. I want to introduce you to Tom Vendetti, who's here in the studio with me.
Aloha, Kevin.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Hello. Aloha, Tom. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Tom's been working really hard bringing Rupam out here in October for Oahu and here on Maui. But
that's fantastic. Thank you
yeah,
so much,
no, he just immediately, and I've known Tom for like 27 years, and I didn't realize he was involved on Oahu on the board of directors, right?
Yeah, the Hawaii Disability Rights Center. I'm on the board of directors. Been on that board for, I think, 6 years now.
Wow.
So it's a perfect tie-in. And I've known you, Kevin, for, gosh, was it about 15 years? Maybe about 15 years.
I lost count. I don't think it's that much. But it seems like. It seems like
does.
30 years. It seems like forever.
Well, you were actually the one responsible for showing me how I could take my spoken word projects and make them really into something amazing as CDs, because you were doing it before I started, and you got actually a Grammy for your work. Gosh, that was how long ago, that CD you did?
2012. Yeah, 2012.
2012. Well, gosh. And so you have this amazing ability to reach out to a lot of wonderful people and musicians, which made you a perfect candidate to pull together some of the most amazing people for Rupam Sarmah's One Little Finger, Ability and Disability film, which will be premiering in Los Angeles. That's August 15th, isn't it?
August 16th.
16th.
August 16th, yeah.
And that's going to be quite a red carpet event. And I know, I mean, Tom's a filmmaker, so he knows what it takes and what Rupam's been going through. There's so much work involved in all aspects, but for this one, there was an extremely amazing collaboration that you were able to reach out to some amazing people for the soundtrack on this. And you were the perfect person, Kevin, because you've worked with some of these people on some of your peace projects that you've done and through UNESCO before. In particular, one person I just adore is Julian Lennon. What project did he do with you first?
Let's see, back when I got my first Grammy nomination, he submitted a great spoken word piece for us.
Huh.
And then on Action Rich People United, we were able to use a song of his, and with the movie and soundtrack of One Little Finger, he read some beautiful words by Laurie Zeal that blend themselves together very well for the movie.
And we're going to be excited because you and I both haven't heard the final mix, because Rupam's a mix and master genius, of course.
Oh, he is a genius. And Rupam wishes he can be with us right now, but he's only getting 1 day a week sleep. So,
well, I totally
a little
understand.
exaggerated, but
No.
but yeah, he's working 24/7 to see this through.
Absolutely. So let's give people the basic premise of how this came about and what the film's trying to convey.
Well, Rupam mentioned it to me a few years ago, and when he told me that he was putting this together, it took me exactly 1 second to say yes, that I would love to be part of it. And its main theme is showing ability and disability, and that's the message we want to get out to the world.
And you beautifully do it. And I think one of the things that touched me, and it's a very touching film. People can see the trailer, which you have posted, right? What's the site
Right.
for people to see that?
They can look at, oh my God, it's One Little Finger. It's either, I should be shot for this. It's
No.
either .org or .com.
Well, actually, as a matter of fact, Kevin, it's on our Facebook site because we both posted it.
Right, it's on our Facebook site also, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's been bringing, many people have told me that they cried watching it. I've even witnessed people crying watching it because it touches people in their lives, whether it be family or friends.
And you know what's so beautiful about this? Because, there's always this kind of inner conflict that people have about wanting, if you're going to put so much work into a movie, and wanting it to be successful. And Rupam decided that he was going to go for the quality of using actors who had disabilities, or so-called disability, but the ability of disabilities, rather than using professional actors in this.
That's right, and many people told him that he couldn't do it. And he said, oh, yeah? We'll see. And he did. Over 80% of the people in the movie are disabled.
And a lot of it was shot in India.
That is correct, and some in L.A. also.
Mm-hmm. And Rupam, of course, being He's just such a generous heart and such an amazing man. I just adore Rupam. Of course, he's helped me.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, no, he's done so much, and the music he provides and has provided me in the past on my CDs is so precious and beautiful. But there is this whole other factory, I don't want to call it a factory, but country, India, that approaches filmmaking very differently than we do here. You know what I mean, right? I mean, it's a different kind of. It costs a lot less. Number one, right?
Right. Yes.
But the
very colorful,
yes.
and dancing and artistic. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And as you know, I mean, Rupam actually got the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most amount of musicians on one stage at one time, I believe, right?
That's correct. I think it was 325
Yeah.
different instruments, right around there. And he actually had over 500 instruments on the stage. And if you look it up, Together in Peace, you could actually see him conducting this wonderful orchestra.
Well, Tom Vendetti here has been to Nepal and Tibet and Mount Kailash, and he recorded in Kathmandu and the upper regions of Nepal in studios, and with one of the people we adore, Keola Beamer, who's a legend here in Hawaii. And we were just talking the other day about how the instruments that Keola worked with there and the instrumentations and musicians, they were instruments he'd never seen before.
Right, but again, music being the universal language, they were able to communicate and make some incredibly beautiful music.
Wow.
And there is that interesting factor in the soundtrack, Kevin, which is so amazing.
Yes.
Which has it has music from all around the world and music from here and music from people like. Well, I was able to contribute some words with the help of Dave Mason, and but then is this a blending, and how did you deal with that in that soundtrack? The balancing and the blending of all these different aspects.
Well, it all speaks to one message, and the music from India is just so beautiful, and it just the way it's put together with the music from there and here and all the different. I mean, even though the instruments might be different, the message is the same in all the pieces of work, and I think that's what it is. What really blends it together, it's the positive message.
Well, that's for sure, and plus it's a huge CD. Have you ever done a CD that's less than 20 or 30 songs? You do these big things.
I don't think so. It's been a while. Yeah, I have, but me and Rupam, we think very big.
Well, there is something. That's why all those instruments on one stage. But how many songs total in the soundtrack?
I believe it's around 24, if I'm not mistaken. It's around 20 or 22 songs that are actually in the movie, and then we have a few bonus tracks, including yourself and Dave Mason, and so it blends together really well.
And that's a lot to mix and master, of course. But Rupam also is amazing doing instrumentation and arrangements on top of everything else he does, right?
Oh, yes, he is, yes.
And tell me the story, because I've just been following you, because you're all the way over there on the East Coast, and you like some of us hold down two jobs, the day job and the job that takes up all the time but doesn't bring in much money.
Much money, no money.
No money.
That's why we have a day job.
That's why we have that day job.
Matter of fact, it takes money.
That's true.
But it's love.
Yes.
It's love. It gives us love, and that's. Love is so much more important than money.
Well, you got May Pang, and I was just told by Rupam the other day that May Pang recorded a few of the words I wrote. And for those, how did you first meet May Pang?
It was actually at, I believe it might have been his first, Julian Lennon's art exhibit in New York City. We were invited there, and I pulled May aside and introduced myself. We had some mutual friends, and we had a wonderful conversation, and she was very, very down to earth. And the coolest thing is that during Grammy Week, which you were there too in New York City, May Pang came to one of the events, And as I'm walking through the audience, I hear, Kevin, Kevin, and it's May waving at me. I'm like, oh, she remembers me.
Oh, well, May Pang, of course, had a relationship with Yoko and John, and when John decided to leave New York and go to Los Angeles, May and John had a relationship, and she wrote a book, I think, about it. I have to read that book. I never read that book. But she's got a very interesting story, of course. And then you found, I don't know how you found Guy Eckstein to do the music for what I wrote. Guy Eckstein is the son of, was it Buddy Eckstein? No. What's
Billy Eckstein.
Billy Eckstein, right?
Yes.
And so you reached out to him.
Yes, I met him through a mutual friend, and it was at a concert, actually, and I approached him on Action Moves People United to submit something. Actually, not submit, but actually, do some music for us. And when it came to this project, I really love what he does all the time, and I wouldn't want to just match him with just anything. So when we had Your Words with Dave Mason, I was like, there it is. That's something for Guy to do, and as always, he delivered.
How did you get Quincy Jones involved?
Well, that was that wasn't directly through me. That was with forgive me if I pronounce her name wrong, Sieta Garrett. Mm-hmm. She did Man in the Mirror with Michael Jackson, and we were in touch with her early on, and she really wanted to help us with the project. So she did a couple things. She's in the movie, and she's worked with so many people, and Quincy Jones being one of them. She goes, she said to us that, I have this song that I did with Quincy, and we never released it. So we talked to Rupam talked to Quincy's people, and before you know it, we had it, and it's such a beautiful song.
I can't wait to hear it, really. So tell me about. I know that Rupam did some amazing. Speaking of getting out to the world, he's been all around the world with this film. Of course, I didn't get to go to any of them, but I believe he showed it in France and Cannes. How exciting is that, right?
That's correct. Yeah, Cannes, and he was in Florida. It's so many places. I know it's also showing in San Diego. I believe in September or late this. Yeah, I think it's in September. Of course, showing in Hawaii in October. So yeah, we're going to keep on hitting these festivals and other places.
It was so funny because I was talking to Rupam a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Well, I've got to get these subtitles for Italian." I said, "I got to find someone who can translate this to Italian."
And I knew the right person. I'm actually half Italian myself. It's too bad my a lot of my family members have passed on because they could have helped. But there's Daniela, who has her own radio show in New York City and actually broadcasts in Italy. And
really?
And she's Italian, and I was like, Rupam, I have the person. I reached out to her, and she was so excited to do it.
It's something you don't think about when you create a film, that you're going to have to deal with these kind of details, right? It's like, yeah, it's amazing, really. Well, Tom Vendetti here is an expert on getting projects on PBS. You've had how many films on PBS?
11 now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Which is always nice, and I think that once, and it takes on a different life when it's on PBS, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, of course. PBS has a huge audience when it's distributed nationally, so it's quite an honor for them to pick something up.
Yeah, and Tom,
congratulations.
Well, Tom's helped other people who are wonderful as well get their music out. Get their movies out on PBS, because there's different formats and there's costs involved in that as well to just get it out nationally, right?
Right. The last one was Nwang Chichong, who was a Tibetan flute player, and he had a wonderful story about his life, and called me up, and I assisted in getting that distributed, or at least offered nationally on PBS, which is airing now around the country.
Mm-hmm. And I think eventually it would be really great and helpful when we get to that point where one little finger, ability and disability, is able to be shown across the country, will be extremely powerful. There's such a base of the Indian influence in this. I don't know if Rupam has had a chance to show this in India yet. Do you know about that, Kevin?
I'm pretty sure he did, but I'm not 100% positive. I know he's been working on other things for India, but yeah, I'm not totally sure if he did or not. And if it did, it was probably only in one section of the country.
Yeah, that's right. It's a big country. It's got a lot of territory to cover there. He's also working on something that I think is fascinating with his artificial intelligence and how we can work with certain tones and music for healing, right?
That is correct, because, it's not just about the movie and the soundtrack. It's, once again, ability and disability, and, and going beyond the movie and the soundtrack and helping people with disabilities.
And he's really gotten into this. I mean, he's really been studying on this, and he told me when it was showing in Cannes how there were people that found him and actually wanted him to do some work on this and take this project of trying to help in the higher advanced technical levels to see how that can be used and to help. Because, as you know, Rupam's background was originally in the tech field, which is
right.
kind of unusual.
Scientist.
Think of how many musicians we know who aren't really tech people, right?
Right. Yeah, and right after the movie, I can't speak to exactly what he's doing, but all I can say is that, he is, going to different conferences and meetings and dealing with the scientific end of disabilities.
I was in Kathmandu not too long ago, and there's this whole therapeutic healing of singing bowls and using them, the sound of the singing bowls, for healing purposes, which was really fascinating to me.
Nice. Yep. Music is healing.
Right.
Well, you know that. And also, can you tell us briefly about how you got connected with the UN and how that kind of all turned around and got you involved, and Rupam as well, in doing projects for the peace projects?
Yeah, I try to summarize that in 30 seconds. But when I did the first Action Moves People CD, it was put in the hands of the Secretary General of the United States Federation of UNESCO Clubs and Associations, and she loved it, and she was promoting it, and then it became a no-brainer that we would work together, and it became once I saw what Rupam was doing, and he seen what I was doing, and so forth, and it was a no-brainer that we would work together, and then we became ambassadors to the Federation.
You know what? I still get amazed when I find out how big and how important and what their reach is, and I don't think most people really do know how important the reach is and the work that this group does.
Yes, much outreach and non-governmental and grassroots. I believe pretty soon in the next few weeks you're going to have this film showed. And is it towards the UN or UNESCO? It's going to be shown there, isn't it? Oh, no, it's not going to be shown there, but we will be talking about it. There's going to be over 6,000 people from all over the world there, big United Nations event. And for 3 days, we'll be talking about it and connecting with, like I said, the people all over the world and how we could help each other.
Well, you were kind enough when I went to New York for the Grammys, and I've always had a dream of going over there, and you got me to be able to, and it's quite a project to get into the UN. You ever gone into the UN before, Tom?
No, I haven't.
You have to have a lot of security clearances and checks and everything, right?
Yeah.
In this day and age.
Twice, I've been to several meetings at the UN, and it's very fascinating to see when there's a high-level presence there, when actually there's leaders from all over the world there, like presidents and so forth, and they block it off up to a block away from the UN. You can't get in without showing clearance.
I remember. Yeah, you had to do one or two projects when the president was actually there back in Obama days, right?
Yeah, right down the hole.
And so, yes, there was definitely a lot of security clearance to go through. But that reaches out to so many people around the world, and there's so many. I have to say, I remember when I was at the UN, this vibration, this energy, this field of people trying to do things for good, trying to do things for peace, trying to reach out. It was so powerful, Kevin. I really could feel it, right? I mean, it's alive, it's vibrant there in the very building and the halls and the people.
Yep. Do you remember that little room they have?
Yes.
That spiritual room with the big stone there?
Yes. There was a meditation room.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and a very powerful. I remember touching the stone, and my hands could actually feel the vibration of the stone. It was amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
Well, I think you really do absolutely wonderful work, Kevin. You actually changed my life because you introduced me to so many wonderful people. I think I must have met Rupam through you, didn't I? I think I did, right?
It could be, but you would have met him eventually. I can't take all the credit.
Well, I have to say that all the people that are involved in these projects, and you and the other Grammy members and wonderful people I've worked with, have been amazingly supportive. I don't think people realize in that community, a lot of independence, but in that community how it's such a different feel when you're all working on these projects, most of them kind of small and all, like you said, done for the love of it,
Right.
that there's this amazing energy of goodwill and helping and commitment. And I know that's behind the film One Little Finger.
That is absolutely correct. So many people who just showed much love with their work and their hearts and putting this together.
Absolutely. And so I thank you so much. And I know you're going to have fun. When do you head out to L.A.?
A week from right now. Matter of fact, I'll be boarding the airplane a week from this moment.
And you're going to be out there talking to people and doing that thing that it takes to publicize that and do that, and it's going to reach a whole new audience. Of course, L.A. being L.A. and Hollywood, there's a lot of people of influence there as well, so you never know where that's going to lead to as well, right?
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to miss you not being there.
I wanted to come, but I had to make a choice, And truthfully, since Tom, it was all due to Tom's help that we were able to bring Rupam out and show this film, not only here on Maui, but on Oahu. And that's kind of sealed the deal. It's like, well, if I can see it here, it's like, yeah, I think I'll do that, So, and it'll be so nice for Rupam. He's never been to Maui before, so it'll be so nice to see him here on Maui as well. So
great.
More pictures and more photo ops, too. So thank you so much, Kevin, and I'll be following your pictures on Facebook.
Thanks, Cindy, and it's very wonderful to meet you, Tom, and thank you so much again for helping us.
Same here. Thank you.
A big aloha.
Aloha.
That was nice. Really great talking to Kevin. He really has helped me, just as you have, Tom. Truly helped me understand a lot of things that, you couldn't figure out. I don't know if people realize what collaborations, how important collaborations are.
Right. And one thing, when you have a program like his and some of the things that I've worked on, they take on a life of their own. And when you put out positive energy, it seems to come back to you. And with this film and others, it's certainly a positive message. And I think, again, that's why things kind of manifest the way they do, because of that energy.
Well, I was just amazed when we even discussed the possibility of bringing Rupam's film here. Again, that you had this other life that I didn't even know about happening in Oahu. And it's so beautiful that the Doris Duke Theater is going to be the site for the Oahu showing, which is, and they do a lot of stuff to help the people over there. There's actually a museum and the theater, right?
Right. It's a beautiful venue, so we're very pleased to be there and to be able to screen it there.
I want to go to. I think I will go over for that one. I think
Okay.
I have one. I think I might have enough points for an overnight stay or close, right? For that, so that would be very special.
You have to come right back because we have a lot of work to do for the Maui
We do absolutely.
McCoy Theater
at
screening.
the McCoy Theater, and they even have it listed, and tickets are even available for the October.
August the 24th, they go on sale.
They go on sale August 24th.
That's
Well, that's
correct,
coming
yeah.
up for the one at the McCoy, and that's a small venue.
Right.
So I think 250 seats. I'm not
That's
sure
correct,
around
yes.
that. But Rupam will be here,
That's right.
and so it's going to be very nice for people to meet him. He's such a master of a person, just as you are. But on top of that, just as you did for Nawang, you said, well, what about if we have a little music? And what if we include a little music before showing the film? Although it is a full-length feature film, it's 90 minutes, I believe.
Yes, it
for
is.
the film.
Yes.
And you're one of the few people that saw it, I think. I haven't seen it. You got to see a little taste of it. I'm sure it's been been amped up. You know how it is. You always do
Right.
at the end. But so I said, well, let's see what we can do. So I reached out to George Kamoko, and we had a lunch with George and Rock Hendricks.
Right.
And George is just such a sweetheart and has helped so many people and taught many people. And Rock is Rock here?
It looks like he's coming through the door.
Come on in, Rock. Come on back here. Rock. Come on.
He's finding his way.
He's finding his way. He's on the way. Well, Rock, when we had lunch at the Mill House, and you discovered what a treasure Rock is, right?
Oh, my God. And what a story the man has. In fact, hopefully when he gets in here, he can tell us.
You have to shake hands. See, you can't just walk in a building. You have to you get stopped along the way when you're at the status of Rock. Everyone wants to give you a hug and say hi. Have a seat over here.